Hi, everybody. I'm Scott,
And I am Luke.
And I'm Jonathan.
and this is the No Way to Hollywood podcast. Thanks for joining us.
I got nothing. There's nothing.
Nothing. You've had like a month. You got nothing.
I wasn't
Not that I
working
have
on it for a
anything
month.
either.
I wasn't
I've been-
working on that.
It was so good. I was doing the exact same thing I always do, and expected you guys to do the exact same thing you always do.
I couldn't do it. I'm sorry, everyone.
They've been waiting a whole month for us to do the same old content, the same old mediocre content, and we couldn't even deliver that.
It's
So
sad,
this
but-
is what you're getting. Thanks for joining us, you poor person watching right now. This is it. Welcome.
But I mean, we're not going to leave you disappointed. We hope for the one person that's going to watch this.
If you are
Let's keep
disappointed,
talking
leave
about
a
our
comment.
podcast in a meta way and not actually do it. Let's do that. That's what I think we should do.
All right. Well, on that note, let's jump into news. We had a couple of newsworthy things to talk about. That's what we did. That's what we found.
I should have been compiling stories I thought were interesting this whole entire time, but I didn't. So we've got like 2 news stories.
Okay, Jonathan, what's the first one?
What is the first one? We'll go with HBO spends $30 million on a Game of Thrones pilot episode for a spin-off of Game of Thrones TV. Now remember, Game of Thrones, for those of you who don't know, had 8 seasons on HBO, was very popular, very successful, unless of course you consider quality a factor, then it was highly unsuccessful by the last season in particular. Okay? But got lots of money for HBO, lots of well-knownness, and then they did a prequel. They have like several prequel series they tried to develop, and one of them was, it doesn't even matter where it was set, because they spent $30 million on this pilot for this show as a prequel show, and then they canceled it. So $30 million just burned, gone.
And
Bye-bye.
if I'm reading this correctly and Google is accurate, which I don't know it is, but it's based off of Wikipedia's thing, but apparently they spent $5 to $10 million to produce the pilot of the first Game of Thrones thing, and the whole show, oh no, for the first season was 50 to 60 million total. So they spent
almost half.
They spent almost half of the entire first season making a pilot episode, and we're like, okay, this isn't working.
I glanced at an article about this after you told me about it, Luke, because the headline is like all I feel like I need. But apparently the CEO or something of HBO, some suit who's in charge of things, who showed up at HBO, showed up relatively recently before that was canceled.
Okay.
And the whole thing was, they spent all the money on it. They had shot the thing. There was an early cut, and he saw this. He screened it, and he watched it, and he just turned to his like fellow executive and was just like, That's not what Game of Thrones is. That's not going to be good enough. That's not going to work." And the guy looked at him and was like, "You're right." And that was it. That's how $30 million, poof, gone.
See, and like all the time and effort and potential research and writing and, prop making and whatever else they did, CG building, whatever, And this is where these kinds of things, I wish they would just release to YouTube or something, or make it an HBO special, or whatever, and just be like, "Hey guys, this is what it was a fail." And then what I'd really like is them to spend like $3 million more and make the behind the scenes, because that's what I'm interested in. Like, what all did you guys do? And then the interview of like, why did this fail? Because there's that really interesting documentary, The Sweatbox, about like ultimately getting to Emperor's New Groove, but like the process of getting there. That documentary is fascinating. It's on YouTube. Maybe I can link to it below. Maybe it's taken down. I have no idea. Yeah. So like, I want more of that, especially from failed projects where you've spent literally tens of millions of dollars. Like, I want to know what's out there, because that sounds amazing. But I'm a big sucker for behind the scenes. So
yeah. So I guess the question I have then for you guys is, does this symbolize Hollywood getting back to normal for you, or is this something else?
You talking about foolishness and bad money management? That sounds like Hollywood's always been that way. I mean,
yeah. What do you mean by getting back to normal? Like canning projects left and right? I don't think they do that often, do they?
I think that there's lots and lots and lots of television pilots that you don't ever see or even necessarily hear about, right? The reason we're hearing about this one is because it's a Game of Thrones prequel, and we knew enough about it. There was enough buzz about it. We knew Naomi Watts was in it. We knew a little bit of the setting. If you know the lore, you would know what the setting was, and so on and so forth. So, like, people knew things about it. It just, we knew it got canceled. We knew it wasn't going to come to fruition. We just didn't realize it was $30 million to make that decision.
Yeah, well, yeah, and I guess I never really thought like this is going to be a success. Like when they were like, "Hey, we're making a prequel," you're like, "Why are you doing that?" Like, you couldn't even write a final season for stuff that existed and was actually interesting and everybody was hyped beyond reason about and actually enjoyed it. You couldn't do it. So why do you think you could make a prequel? Okay, whatever.
I would just like to say one idea is, YouTubers who have to actually make money and use their money well to like get anywhere in life when it comes to stuff. Unlike us, we just do this for fun and don't make money.
Right, yeah.
These guys have gotten into the place where they make their own websites or their own streaming services, and they sort of democratize the funding process even of, here's like the 10 ideas we have of stuff we'd like to make. What do you guys want to see? You guys tell us and put your money into it, and we'll do that show. And I wonder if there's a way of doing that. Like if you're in HBO's world, like you said, I'm sure there are lots of reasons. Legally alone, maybe you can't show that like Naomi Watts had a bad day of acting in one of the scenes. Like maybe you can't go there. I don't know. But you would think, what are ways to take some sort of return on that investment? Could you show it? Could you do behind the scenes? Or could you even do several Game of Thrones pilots and be like, which one do you guys want? Do you want any of them? No? What about this other show? Because that's kind of what happened with Zack Snyder in another way. Like basically Justice League, the movie we got, was pretty bad. And it was like a pilot episode that was just telling you that there was another movie in there somewhere that might have been interesting. And then, they spend the money on it and you get Zack Snyder's Justice League, and that kind of becomes a whole hullabaloo. My only point is, I think there is an actual good thing about studio execs making decisions and behind the scenes and just deciding things. But there's also a lot of foolishness there that can happen as well. And I'm just curious if they're going to spend $30 million on it anyway, maybe show it to the public and just find out if they wanted it either. They'll be like, see, you didn't want it either. We make good decisions sometimes. Leave us alone.
That could be cool. You're making me think of VidAngel, which I haven't explored much, but I have gotten a couple emails from them about the investment opportunities and how they are trying to democratize the process of choosing the shows that they make and going through that, which, that's all I know of what their process is. But like, they're actually trying it, and so far it sounds like they've been pretty successful, which is pretty interesting.
Well, it's kind of sad because basically the way I read it is VidAngel and Quarter Digital and these other guys who are doing this are doing it and getting good success because people would like something they actually want to watch, unlike Hollywood, who's like, you will like this, you will watch this. Don't you want to? Oh, that's the other news story, guys.
Oh,
there's a third one. Yeah. We're gonna bust that out there, guys. You remember Zorro?
Yeah.
He has like a cape.
No.
He has a cape.
Don't
he has
do
a hat.
this.
He has a mask.
Oh.
He has a sword. He like carves Z's into things.
Yeah, he does. Even lights
you
them on fire on
Antonio
hills.
One.
Yeah.
The Mask of Zorro is so good.
So good, right?
So
what
good.
if we could get another Zorro movie, but this time
it's Captain Love, and we learn about his tragic backstory.
No.
Oh. Okay.
What if we got another Zorro movie, but it was set? It's a reboot, okay? It's set in modern day.
The mask doesn't work so well.
And Zorro is a hacker, and what he can do
he hacks things with his sword?
No, he uses a computer now. This is the modern day.
He's leveling up in World of Warcraft and then switches over to Final Fantasy 14.
Yes, and then he hacks the government and helps illegal immigrants get from Mexico to America because he fights for the people. And his code name in the world of the hackers is Z0RR0 because he's a cool hacker.
Yeah, elite speak, man.
He's Zorro.
Is he related to Antonio Banderas? Is he?
That?
Wait, no. Wasn't that his daughter? Didn't Antonio Banderas end up with a daughter in that movie?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
So this is his daughter's son?
No. See, what this is a bad idea. And what I wanted to bring up was This is actually currently a news story of in the last decade, they've been talking about reboots for the Zorro property because Mask of Zorro was fantastic and they thought, why do that again? Why don't we just do something stupid? For our industry that's considered to be incredibly redundant and repetitive, they are trying real hard to do something fresh and new with Zorro. And every idea I've heard about has been modern day, future, apocalypse, gritty reboot. Now it's a hacker. It's literally called Zorro 2.0 is the working like title of it right now to be written. And all I can think is
this is just
what?
not a Zorro movie though. Like,
And I have a theory, guys. I have a theory as to why this is happening and why so many properties like Star Wars and others are basically getting destroyed. Because there's two things I think at play. One, the business side of it in people's minds, execs' minds, is they can't actually sell a new property. You have to have an old property. Old properties can make money because people will show up because they remember Star Wars. But for some reason, they want to do something new too, but they don't think they can actually make new stuff. So they said, what if we just took our really bad new ideas and stuck those into these old properties that people loved, and then they'd have to watch it, and we'd make money, and then we get our new ideas out. And that can be agenda-driven on some level, but really, like, hacker, like Zorro the hacker in modern day, really? That's what we got for Zorro. We couldn't even try to do another. I know that sequel wasn't good, but the Mask of Zorro was fantastic. You're telling me you can't even try one more time to put him in boots and a sword and an old, period piece, and he's just Zorro, like we all know Zorro to be? Can we just have that again?
Okay, good. I got the pilot script right here. We're ready to go. Let's shoot it. Okay. Just wrote that right now. That's
I saw that it was
notepad.
blank. I love it.
Blank notepad.
I love it. Modern day reboot. Zorro makes notepads, and what he does. See, I feel like I could make anything up, and it'd be just about as good.
I mean, yeah, or as bad, one way or the other. Yeah, there you go. Okay.
I don't hate the idea of a hacker that hacks the immigration system to help people get into the U.S., but just don't call it Zorro. It's not a Zorro movie.
Yeah, make it the next Sneakers movie, because dude, that movie's great. Like, let's watch. I'd do that. That'd be great, especially if it's like you start out and you're this idealistic person, and then because you're actually breaking the law, like you get sent to jail, and then you have to deal with like becoming jaded about that whole thing. Like, that movie's great. Make that movie. So instead of Zorro 2.0, make it Sneakers 2.0, and it could be great. Okay, just saying.
Honestly, I'm not a big fan of any of this. But hey, well, you know what? There's a third news story.
There is.
And it's not really that much news. But there's another trailer for the Matrix Resurrections. And I watched this one, and I will say I saw more color this time. But it was also just a lot of shots of the old movies in it.
Do you have any clue what this new movie is about? I
have a theory about what this movie's about because of an interview with Keanu Reeves and apparently one of the co-writers of the film. And they're both like, it's not a sequel to The Matrix, but it contains the three movies within it, which is just like, what are you even talking about? What do you mean? How does that work? So I have a theory, guys. What if this character of this Keanu Reeves Resurrections Matrix movie character is just a guy in the normal world who saw the Matrix trilogy when it came out back in the 90s, 2000s, okay? What if he just saw those movies? I'm serious. I know this sounds ridiculous, but just track with me for a moment. He saw those movies. He happens to look like Keanu Reeves. So he thinks, what if it's all real? And he has some experiences that makes him think that the Matrix is real and he needs to, be the one and break free, only to find out reality doesn't work that way. And he has to go to therapy for it and take pills because he's a little nuts. Cut to, 20, 30 years later, he still looks like Keanu Reeves, crazily enough, only with a beard now. And I don't know why he didn't get sidetracked by the John Wick movies, but that's a plot point they'll figure out some other way. My point is, he's still in therapy, and these Matrix ideas are coming back to his head. And then it gets on this crazy adventure where it's like, oh, we're in his headspace, and it seems very real. It's different, but this Matrix things might very much be real. Maybe these movies were kind of like The Last Starfighter. Maybe it's like a test to help you break free of the current Matrix. And all I'm trying to say is, after all that ludicrousness where it's like those movies happened but didn't happen and all that meta nonsense, at the end, it's going to be an Inception kind of ending where it's like, hey, is it real that the Matrix is real, or is it like not real? It's just the normal world. And the movie's posit is going to be, it doesn't matter because you should just choose your own reality. That's what I bet they're going to do. That's my guesstimation right now from everything I've seen and heard.
So the whole world is just a choose your own adventure book. Great.
Right. Only this one might be better produced than that other one I saw that was about how the world's a choose your own adventure story and everyone should commit suicide and make the world.
Oh, that one.
Yeah.
I remember that one.
That movie, I don't remember the name of it, but if you ever see a movie, it starts off with like white lab rats and weirdos in this building talking about stuff, and you're like, what's happening? If you get to a synchronized dance party, you're at the best part of the movie, stop there, get out.
Just get to the synchronized dance party and don't watch anything else.
Don't watch anything else. In fact, if you got that far, I'm proud of you. But like whatever. Anyway, those, as far as I know,
you'll know you're in the right movie if you hear this is the fight of our generation.
You don't hear that. You read it at the very end.
Yeah.
And if you read that, oh, that's right, Sam Neill's. If Sam Neill's in it, and there's like an there's like the Vatican in the very beginning, right? You forgot about that, didn't you? There's the Vatican in the beginning. That movie is so nutso. Sorry, everybody. Movie that we don't remember the name of that you shouldn't watch. Sam Neill, Vatican, lab rats, talking about like realities. Get out. As soon as you realize it's that movie, just get out.
Or fast forward to the synchronized dance.
The synchronized dance party is pretty funny.
Okay, so
that's that.
All right.
Having watched the Matrix trailer, this new one, and not only is it insanely annoying because it's repetitive but like dumb, like I do not know why people are hyped about this movie. It continues to baffle me. Maybe it'll be great. I don't know. But like my problem is that what you're telling me with whenever you see a glitch, they change something. What you're telling me is that like, hey, so we liked the movies that we made, and we want to play with them again, but we can change whatever we want, so like nothing matters. Like there's no reality here. There's no connection to any fibers of anything real, except for that we get to play nostalgia on whatever we want. And I don't know, that just does not sound appealing to me. So
Sounds
there you
a
go.
lot like Hollywood to me right now.
Okay.
Just in general.
So speaking of playing on nostalgia, and because I just saw this advertisement on TV, guys, the Book of Boba Fett is about to release on Disney Plus.
Okay.
Oh, that's right. That's a show that they mentioned. They showed us. Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, are we supposed to care about that? Is that what you're asking? Like, how much
I
do I
don't
care?
know.
Like on a scale. Like, how much am I caring? Not.
Luke is not. We know this.
I'm tempted to care because the Mandalorian show is really good, and this is basically spitting out of that work, and so I think it could be fun. But here's the deal. Disney is a company, and Disney Plus is a service, and the decisions they've made, I'm just not happy with them. I'm just very unhappy with them. I think I'll probably get roped back in for Mandalorian Season 3 and certainly the Ahsoka show because Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau are both good storytellers, and they care about Star Wars. But everything else has to do with Disney Plus and Star Wars I'm pretty wary of, including the Book of Boba Fett. I'm just like, yeah, Boba Fett's doing things. Great. Maybe I'll check it later.
It might be fun, but yeah, I have no hype for it. I have no interest. It's just if somebody's like, "Hey, Luke, this show is great. Go check it out." I might push play.
Look, more nostalgia that we want
I'm just not nostalgic for it because I don't want more of it. I like what I have, and I don't want more. I think
I like what I had like a long time ago.
Yeah, exactly.
In a galaxy far, far away.
Oh, nice.
Exactly.
Hey.
I like it.
On that note, there was a topic we were going to talk about tonight.
The name
is a movie that we actually have all seen recently.
is Bond.
Which is another
Bond?
That's another franchise. It's got some nostalgia. It's got some interesting things in the past. So, spoilers, I guess. Coming up here.
No Time to Die.
No Time to Die, and if you don't got time for spoilers, get out. Get out now.
Because he dies.
Spoilers commence.
So he died.
Turns out he has time to die.
He has time to die. That's literally the entire movie is about that. It's how he has time for that.
He had no time to die, and then it was like his time was up and he died.
Yeah.
that was
He gone.
He gone.
But don't worry. At the end of the credits, they say James Bond will be back.
We'll return. Yeah.
Will return, just like you see in the Marvel movies.
They did that long
Yeah,
before
right. Yeah.
Marvel had anything going on. I'm just
Right.
saying, like they did it a long time ago.
Okay, so this movie, I I was like, it's starting to fade already for me. Stuff happens in this film, and it's actually a pretty fun ride. And I was actually surprised at how tense it was at times for being a Bond film. Like I'm used to Bond movies where like stuff's happening and you're just like, so you expect me to talk? No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die. And you're like, oh, so fun. And this movie, like I was actually like, whoa, what's happening? What's gonna happen? Like I actually felt some stuff at times, which was kind of a different experience for Bonds for me. Like I didn't expect that as much. Although I will say I was done with like the Madeline Swan and like Blofeld thing. Like I was so done with those characters. I didn't care at all. And that might be because the other movies didn't give me any reason to care about these characters either. So I felt like I was starting out on kind of a loose footing starting this film, but overall it was fine. Had a pretty good thing. Although whatever the new bad guy is, I even remembered his name at one point in time, the actor, but
Rami Malek.
yeah, like he did nothing for me. I didn't like him at all. He didn't make enough sense to me, and he was just kind of dumb in my opinion, and it didn't.
But he killed her mother.
So what? That was so.
Yes, he was dangerous enough to kill the boozing wino.
Yeah, I
He
know.
was a bad parent.
Right, like this woman laying on a couch because she's stoned out of her mind and drunk. You were able to take her out.
Dangerous.
Like I don't even care, dude. Like I don't know.
But he took her out only because
He was a moron and couldn't find the guy he wanted to kill.
the husband killed his parent.
Right.
And then
guys,
Robbie,
whoa,
Mr. Malik.
Whoa, guys, whoa. You're getting into plot stuff, and let me just say that on just a very basic level, this movie's plot stuff just don't matter much. Like it ends up not mattering much at all. You know what I'm saying? Like all the connections, like everything with the villain. This is the thing where I was tracking and I understood and I was like, okay, where are you going? And they were like, we're going nowhere. I was like, oh, okay. Well, are you going somewhere else with other things? They're like, yeah, we're kind of going somewhere else with other things. They're like, okay, I'll go with you on those other things. It's like the whole villain character. The issue is that everything you're talking about, Scott, while I understand exactly what you're saying and I remember and I watched and understood that, it didn't matter. It had no bearing on almost anything in the film.
Because it wasn't
just was
related
like
to Bond.
Connection point because we want
Right.
one.
Yeah, it wasn't related to Bond, so there was no personal stakes in it, so it wasn't connected at all.
Except
for the
for Bond loves the girl that he mind controls.
yeah,
Well, she doesn't get mind control. She just gets extorted.
yeah,
Blackmailed.
Yeah.
emotionally
threatened.
manipulated.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay,
Which
yeah,
and that's the other thing. If it was an emotional manipulation relationship, it should have been like they seemed to be on good terms relationally, not just like I saved your life once
yeah,
and then 30 years later I show up. It should have been like
right,
I hang out with you once a year. And we
right.
talk about things and we remember the good times. And I raised you. Like it
Yeah.
should have been something more like that because that would have been interesting.
Right, and instead it's like we have this one flashback where she like is afraid for her life, and then she pops up from the water and is like, "I'm fine," and like what? I don't. Okay, yeah,
Sorry, we're getting
So-
into like the not good stuff. But
yeah.
So I came into this movie having not seen any of the other Daniel Craig Bond movies.
Well, that was a
What?
mistake.
What?
Scott's got no time to watch those Daniel Craig movies.
That is accurate. And I hear one of them's halfway decent, maybe.
Okay, whoa. Casino Royale is great. Okay, that's a great Bond film. I really like that one. And Skyfall, many people like Skyfall. It's got its place. Quantum of Solace is a little bit of doo-doo, and Spectre is a lot of doo-doo. Okay? So you've got like great doo-doo, pretty dang good doo-doo, and then you had No Time to Die. So you know what I'm saying?
So where does No Time to Die fit on that spectrum?
For me, I think I like it as good as, if not better than Skyfall personally. Now, I don't know if it's as serious or like as well crafted in some ways, but I enjoyed it quite a bit. Spectre, okay, so in that catalog, Casino Royale is we're rebooting and we're like doing a new thing, and Daniel Craig is this like icy Bond, and here's why he's so butthurt about women and all this other stuff. And then because Quantum of Souls is like, we lost our writers. Oops, we don't know what we're doing. Oops. He tries to get resolution about the fact that that girl broke his heart, and he kind of does it. Skyfall is very serious. I'm an old man. I can't do things anymore. And it's all these three movies are trying to be serious. Spectre comes out, and they're like, what if we went more old school, sort of like pulpy, fun, gadgety Bond? And they tried to do that and balance that with like a serious tone, and they failed miserably. It's just not a good tonal mix. It doesn't work. It's just like, is it even serious? This is laughable. This is dumb. But it introduces the Madeline Swan character, and it introduces Blofeld. And even that, you're like, Blofeld, you guys, like we all knew, it just wasn't executed well.
Yeah.
But then you got into No Time to Die, and that's where I feel like one of my favorite things about this movie for me is I think they actually found the mixture they were looking for in Spectre. I think they found the fun and the gadgets and all that classic Bond stuff, and they brought it in, but they kept that stuff that I really liked about the Daniel Craig beginning Casino Royale stuff, where it's like, here's that backstory, here's the interconnectedness, here's that sort of darker hurt past kind of thing going on, and how is he going to resolve that? How is he going to go through his emotions? Bond actually has emotions. He doesn't just say, I don't care and I F women and I kill people. Like, he has that for a reason, and so there's emotions, there's a core. How do you get through that? So I thought that No Time to Die was good because they found the mixture and the tone in a way that I actually enjoyed that they couldn't actually get to in Spectre.
And I will say,
that.
yeah, they had a great, like, his like little one-liner quips and like puns, and like they have that in there, and I liked that. I was like, hey, good job, you threw it in there, and it doesn't feel dumb, right?
It's groan-worthy, but in the way you like. You're like,
right,
yes,
exactly. Yeah.
That's good groan-worthy. That's a Bond pun.
Yeah, it was great. Great.
So on just that tonal level alone, I had fun in this Bond, but I also was rewarded for my time with Daniel Craig's Bond movies, and the emotion that I had when I first saw Casino Royale and some of those other things came to play for me in No Time to Die because of different things that happened. Now, emotion, they're Bond movies. You may not care. I'm sure Luke didn't care. But like for me...
Especially because I was like, Madeline Swan, why are you in this movie still?
I enjoyed it. That's all I'm saying. So totally, I think they got something
But the
quite
girl
nice.
is Bond's kid, even though she says it's not.
Yes.
Yes.
Because characters sometimes lie to each other.
That happens sometimes.
Just like people lie in the real world?
No one lies in the real world, Scott.
You're lying now. How much lying?
What?
Why are you lying? Scott,
Yep.
tell me, as this being your first Daniel Craig movie and having no idea what's happening,
Daniel Craig Bond movie.
Daniel Craig Bond movie. Sorry, excuse me. And having no idea what the crap is happening, how did you feel about it?
I felt like I had no idea what the crap was going on. I still had fun with the movie, but there's a lot of stuff that it's like, okay, there's a relationship with this girl that I don't know the full story of.
And honestly, Scott, I'm going to be honest with you.
That's better for you.
It's about where we all are. Like if you saw the story, if you saw Spectre, you would know, but it wouldn't make sense to you because you watch Spectre, you're like, why are you two in love? I don't understand why you two are in love. Why would you? What? You're the dog. That doesn't make any sense, and it doesn't really play. But you watch No Time to Die with like having barely watched, like barely remembered Spectre or not even knowing, it works just fine. It's like, oh, he's in love with his chick. Cool.
It's a
That's
girl.
all I need
He
to
likes
know
her.
is he's in love with his chick.
There's
right.
there's really nothing else.
And there's a story about how they couldn't be together for a long time. They kind of talked about that, didn't they?
Well, you mean how the beginning of the movie
He
separates
says,
them?
You're gone. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I thought that's actually one of my favorite parts of the whole movie. I was actually very impressed, or I just had a great time watching how that action sequence was an outplay of me of the end. And this is where it doesn't pay off for you, Scott, but the end of Casino Royale is a character portrays Bond and it becomes a big action sequence and he loses something very important to him and he can't get it back. And the opening of No Time to Die sort of, in my mind, brings all that up for him, I think, as a character, where he thinks he's on the path of being in a good spot and moving on with this woman he loves. And then right at that moment, things go really bad. And he feels like there's only one way this could have gone bad, which is someone betrayed me, which I've actually gone through this before. And so I'm angry and I'm upset. This is the second time, and I ain't playing nice with anybody, even this person, because I think this person's probably betrayed me. And that's where it sort of starts. And I was like, that makes sense for me for that character. Like, it just brings it all back.
See, and here's my problem. I'm not smart enough or connected enough or like caring enough or whatever to make those connections. So I was like, I don't know why you're believing this right now. I don't know why you think this right now. Like, listening to you talk about it, I'm like, okay, I can see how a script writer, a story person would say, this is an echo and this is a... But for me as an audience member, I didn't get any of it. I was just like, oh, okay. You're like, oh, somebody called my phone. This must be true. I'm like, why? Why would you think that?
I do agree it could have been a little bit clearer, a little bit more fishy, if you will, a little bit more of like, oh man, did she like... But that's the thing, though, is there's a bomb at the grave. And she's very, like, she's trying to convince him to go to the grave that last... Like, there are things that can add up, but you have to... They maybe didn't do a good job of putting you into a paranoid headspace, which is sort of where you'd have to be for that to make more sense.
And they give me the paranoid headspace because it's like, you're always looking over your shoulder and blah, blah, blah. But, like, what I want more of him putting the pieces together of, like, oh... She definitely betrayed me. I see it all now. Like I need him to go through that process so that I can go through that process with him to be like, oh yeah, she is dirty. Oh my goodness. I can't believe we didn't see it before. What? You know, like, I want that revelation instead of just this like nagging suspicion that, fine, I'm gonna go blow us out of here now. You know, like, I don't know. So
So anyway, Scott, how'd you feel about that opening scene with all that emotional weight from those Daniel Craig Bond movies you saw?
I mean, I felt a little bit of the separation anxiety. Like I think they actually did a decent job of being like, even if you hadn't known any of the story, you could still very much get to a place of like, okay, these two people like each other, and now they can't be together. Okay. But to a large extent, there's still this separation of they're making selfish decisions to not be together. Right? At least by the end of the movie, when they have the we can't be together thing, it's a lot more of the... this at least makes sense. Like, there's a legit reason why we can't be together, and my way to escape that is to sacrifice myself and die.
Although I have my issues with that too, which is that selfish as well? Because the idea is that just because you can't be in touch, you can't be with and touch your family, which no doubt sucks real hard. Does that mean that you can't live, that you can't see them, that you can't talk to them, that you can't interact with them, that you can't find a way to, like, you can apparently touch other people and, you know, you can have human contact and live life and not hurt everybody. It's your family, and that sucks. But, and that's where, I guess, maybe that's
if
it
you've been
too.
in the military, you probably, you know exactly what that's like, and you lived. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, I guess that's where it's like the touch. Because she touched him, and the nanobots got on him, and then he touched Blofeld, and then Blofeld dies. So maybe it's more of, if I go out in the world and I touch somebody, and even by accident, it could eventually get back to them. Like, literally, I am a bomb for them. I can't even control it. So maybe that was more of what it was. So
Probably.
realizations later on after seeing the movie.
And I think they did a really poor job of the. There's no way to get rid of this.
Right, 'cause it's just forced.
It's a dialogue. It's a line of dialogue instead of showing or experiencing or
Well,
anything.
it's
Yeah.
technology. It's magic. It's magic
Yeah.
nanobots, and we've decided that the magic nanobots can't be fixed, even
Right.
though they're magic nanobots. And clearly,
Right.
in 5 years, we'll have other magic nanobots that can solve this problem.
Right.
But Bond doesn't want to take that chance.
Right. Yeah.
So
I think from a secondary characters perspective, I liked Ana de Armas. And actually she worked out better than I thought she was going to, based off of what I'd seen in the trailers and stuff beforehand. And I'd heard even some complaints about like, oh, she says that she's only been training for the last 2 weeks, but then no, like the people clearly didn't see the movie who were complaining about that, because she totally is like wink wink about that later. Like, no, I'm a top notch super spy. What are you talking about? So that was kind of cool. I still don't understand Felix. Like, I've seen him in several movies now, and I just don't get that guy or his thing or his connections. And so, like, I just never felt a connection with him or with him in Bond the whole movie. I know that there's supposed to be, like, this history and this connection. I just didn't get it. And I will say that even, like, the sequence where he dies and, like, how am I going to get out of this boat and all this stuff, I'm like, there's a freaking giant hole on the other end of the boat that is letting in water so the boat is sinking. Just swim out that big old hole. Why are you trying to force this door? There's a giant hole. There's literally a hole in the hole. Like, just go. Like, I don't know. So that whole sequence was kind of frustrating for me in that regard, because I was like, none of this is making sense, and I'm not feeling emotionally connected.
Yeah.
Felix Leiter, as he introduces himself to Bond in Casino Royale, will always be, to me, a brother from Langley, man. That's who he is. He's just a brother from Langley, just a CIA operative. They cross paths, they help each other out. That's all it is. And so it's the coworker, but it's more like a brother, because you guys shoot people a lot, and so it's scary out there.
Right.
So you find somebody you can actually kind of trust a little bit. You're a bit more like, I kind of appreciate you. You've saved my life a few times.
Right.
And now you're dead. Bummer. High fives. I'll see you later.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Just some action things. The car chase in the beginning was fun. I thought the car chase stuff with miniguns was going to be dumb. I saw it in the trailer. I was like, I don't think I care. And then
The machine guns and the little bombs, those were fun.
It was actually a lot of fun. It was done very well, and it was just fun.
Well, and I think that they do a really good job of that, because you're left sitting there like, here, like you're just sitting as they're like shooting into the glass. They're gonna break through, and you're just waiting. And so yes, they do a good job with building that like catharsis of the release of, yeah, now we get to blow back. Like, this is cool. Yeah. So yes, I agree. That was fun.
I also really enjoyed the action in the little like forest inlet with those all foggy, and they get chased by a bunch of cars in there. And he tells Madeline and the daughter, he's like, just hang out here, and I'm gonna go kill everybody. Give me a little bit of time.
That was a pretty cool scene.
It was very cool. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed the oneer in the end, enemy base, going up the stairs. That was pretty cool. I enjoyed the one-liner with, the watch and the eye. That was cool. That was fun. The guys, you guys, I'm assuming you totally recognized when they had the circular hallway and some guy shot at Bond, and they did the shot where he turns around really quick and shoots him, just like he does in the opening movie always.
Oh, I don't
catch
think
that?
I noticed that.
I caught that.
That was cool. I enjoyed that.
Okay.
So just on a pure action level, it was fun. I enjoyed it. And again, some of that fun while still being the Daniel Craig character, I enjoyed. Plot-wise, it's convoluted, it's forced, but it's not so convoluted that I can't keep track of what's happening, which is, again, appreciated. Because these plots can get so like ridiculously like, if we do this, then this happens, but I thought it was this, but the bad guy's actually over here. And like, I hate that crap. Just like, it's just bad guy does thing, you stop him. But the problem is the bad guy is supposed to be really intense and scary and really powerful and emotionally manipulative. And I did not care. I was like, shoot him in the nuts and be done. Like, who cares? All right. And then he like sneaks up on Bond and like shoots him or something, and then is able to break the thing on him. And I was like, no, I'm sorry. Bond was walking downstairs and some guy shot at him, and he turned around and shot him like that. You would be a dead man.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's very forced.
Yeah.
The villain's not very strong.
No.
At the same time, tonally, action-wise, even character stuff, like they kill off Blofeld. They're like, we understand. We brought him in. We're killing him off. We gotta wrap some loose ends here, baby. He's dead, and like this guy's dead. Felix Leiter, brothers from Langley, he's dead. Like everyone's dead.
Yeah. Okay. I am seeing some other parallels to other things like GoldenEye and other stuff where you've got the I don't know, is he from Russia? I don't know where the scientist is from, but you've got him again. Like here's this scientist who just keeps popping up in the rest of the film. Only in this case, instead of being a good guy, ultimately an ally, he's actually just a thorn in your side the whole time. So that was kind of fun, just kind of bringing some of those things back around and doing some of that stuff. So there was some fun stuff with that. I think that they did a good job with like the whole like now you're a 00. You're 00, you're not 007 anymore. So like now here's the other 007. And speaking about like getting some of those like old Bond lines in there, like, oh, I didn't expect you to take that off first, or that wasn't the first thing I expected you to take off, or whatever. Like there were some good lines with that, and they had a pretty good back and forth relationship. But again, going back to that convoluted, messy thing, it's kind of like stuff's just happening all over the place, and yeah, it's kind of a thing.
It's convoluted. It's messy. But ultimately, I had a good time, and I haven't I've only seen it the one time. So maybe if I watch it again, I'll be like, it's not that good. But especially after Spectre, it was a lot better than that, even though it had stuff from that movie, and it paid homage to Casino Royale and Sky, like paid homage to all of them. It wrapped it up. And okay, let's just talk. We got to talk about it. Bond dies at the end of this movie. He literally goes and sacrifices his life and dies, which is unprecedented for any Bond film ever. Bond always wins. He always gets the girl. He always moves on. Even if, Quantum of Solace, he doesn't get a girl. There's no girl to be gotten. Fine. But, like, he always survives, beats the bad guy, moves on. Having sex with the girl on the boat at the end of the movie. It's always something like that, right?
Well, he's so old in this movie. Like, what are they going to bring him back to do? Walk around with his cane and beat people up with it occasionally? I mean, that's kind of how they wrote this. It seems to me, after seeing all of one of them, that's kind of what they wrote. I mean, I'm coming out of retirement to hurt these people who hurt my love.
You're Sean Connery.
I know.
Just not Daniel Craig.
Which is fine, because Connery was still the better Bond, but
I mean, Connery's good. I guess the thing is, they didn't have to kill him. I think they just didn't want to give him the happily ever after because it wouldn't have felt right. And so they killed him off to make it a sacrifice plate, which is fine. But the thing is,
I think they're also trying to wrap it up, right? Like to be like, he's done, right?
But that's the thing is, you don't have to.
No, you don't.
Pierce Brosnan, Roger Moore, Timothy Dalton, all these guys were Bond for a time.
Yep.
They're still alive. They could still have done Bond movies when they were done, but it's just over. It's just, that was the last adventure that we had with that character.
Just remember, these nanobots, man, they're unstoppable, and if Bond is alive, he's going to meet other people that will eventually get those nanobots back to his love and kill her instead.
Well, it is weird because this is almost like a tiny, like a couple of really bad episodes in like, a small miniseries on like what if Bond was like a really short-lived story, right? Because we have everything from his origin all the way to his conclusion in these movies with Craig, and there's no time for other events or other shenanigans or other movies during this. So it's like this like mini series that's a compressed timeline of Bond, and when you go back and you bring him back, it's just gonna have to be a totally different timeline, totally different thing, because you had a beginning and an end with this one, and that's weird. It's weird,
Right, and that's the thing. It is weird, but that's that they chose to do an interconnected set of stories, and so ending it makes sense, right? But yeah. There was never a continuity. Like, this is where people are like, it breaks the continuity. I'm like, what continuity are you talking about?
Right, yeah.
Roger Moore was like 50 or something in the last of his Bond movies. Then we're back to Timothy Dalton in his 30s. Like, what are you talking about? These guys are all over the place. They all have different styles. I'm the hardcore one. I'm the really funny, fun one. I'm like, that's what Bond has always been. So they say James Bond will return. I'm like, yeah, no crap, because it's always a different guy and whatever they're going to do with that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
It works just fine, but I agree with you, Luke, in that it is what I like about this is we get an arc for Bond. Bond doesn't necessarily get an arc. He kind of just does cool things and kills people and gets the girl.
Gadget of the week, girl of the week, bad guy of the week. Yeah, yep.
In this one, there's still all that going on, but it's the selfish, reckless, don't care about anything individual at the beginning of the whole story, who loves somebody, gets hurt, and you think, oh, so now he's like the really like don't give a crap Bond that we know, who really is just going to do whatever. And by the end of the movie, by the end of the whole series, he is ultimately, on at least some level for his family, selfless. He cares about somebody, he loves somebody, he sacrifices for somebody, and of course for for Queen and Country. Like, he does all of that, and then he dies for it.
Right.
So it's not like, that's not typical Bond. That's not what we know as Bond. But I don't think it's a bad movie, and I don't think it's a bad choice. I just think it's a choice. It's a different thing.
Sure, it's fine.
Well, and I mean, ultimately, it's an interesting choice, right? Like, the choice he has to make at the end of this movie may have been the most interesting thing to me in the entire movie, if I'm being honest.
Well, you're a philosophy major, so it makes
was
sense.
A lot of the not caring along the way that you're kind of going, and for me, I chalked it up to just not having seen the other movies, but based on what you guys have said, I think that fear is unfounded. So ultimately, like, it's that scenario of like, okay, he made an interesting choice, but do I really care that he made that choice?
I mean, it's a Bond film, so like,
that is the thing, and I don't know if this is okay, because they are trying to, of course, do an arc and be more serious. So we've have to grade it on what they're at least attempting to do and put it in a different category. But there is something about, you're trying to be serious, and you did just fine for being a Bond film, and you're in the Bond film family. And when I go to a Bond film, I'm not looking for the most satisfaction in your plot or the most satisfaction in your character arcs. If you have satisfaction there, that's a bonus. And that's where, again, the thing that's so nice about this movie for me is that it had all of that and paid homage to what Daniel Craig's stuff is trying to do, and some of my favorite parts of what the new things they brought to it with that character and that version of the character and all that. But they also just had fun with this movie. They also just had good action. They also just did the Bond things. And I appreciated that.
Yeah.
No.
Well, good deal. Maybe someone should just go make the Bond movie that we made, and we'll call it good.
I mean, that movie, now that's a fun movie. And you're going to have some interconnected sequels, because we got to go hunt down Pierce Brosnan's evil dude.
Exactly.
Like, and Moneypenny straight up got murdered. Can I get a quick rating from you guys? Like a thumbs up, thumbs down, out of 5 stars, as something like, where would you land?
See, okay, so my movie rating system, which we can talk about more later, is how much would I pay to see this movie? Or how much would I recommend you pay to see this movie? It's in the $8 range for me. Like, it has some fun to it. I wouldn't recommend much more than that, I think, without maybe seeing the other ones first to know really how bad the full story arc is. So it's good, but it's
I would say it's fun. There's definitely fun stuff in it, but there's a lot of weakness in the movie. And so that's where thinking back on it and trying to remember certain things and stuff, it's just like there's a lot of weakness. There is some fun stuff in it though. So as long as you just be like, okay, I'm expecting a stupid Bond movie, and instead it's just kind of fun, and there's some interesting stuff here and there. But it's kind of a mess knowing that. Like, if you go in and you're like, I can have a good time with that, well then go have a good time with that, And yeah, it's better than Spectre. It's better than Quantum of Solace. It's better than in entertainment, fun side of it. But it's messy. So I don't know. Yeah.
I think if I was using Scott's rating system, I'd say pay the full amount and see it in Dolby, because it's fun. Now, it doesn't mean you need to go buy the movie. Doesn't mean you're going to want to watch it and go see it every weekend or something. But I think you should take the time and the effort to actually see it once in a good way and enjoy it. And it is fun. It is like Don't expect Amadeus. Don't expect some serious movie. It's a Bond movie, and let yourself go enjoy a Bond movie.
Yeah.
And this is the really sad thing, which I think it's enjoyable on its own right, period, amongst all the other movies out there, okay? But especially in a year that's been mostly pretty dismal, I think, for films, mostly, it was a highlight of the year, film-wise. So.
Interesting take. Well, there you go, folks. You should see Bond. Maybe pay $8 for it if you can see it for $8 in the Dolby Theater. We will call that a wrap on this session, but we hope to see you again next time, and stay healthy in between.
Yeah, you do that. You
get sick. I want you to get sick before you see us again.
With nanobots, right?
You viewers, I wish sickness. I don't wish sickness upon.
No. Yeah. Get down with the sickness. Yeah, that's important.
Get down with the sick. No, don't just not. It's just so weird. Scott made it weird, and I don't know. I wanted to have fun with it, but now I can't get out. I'm stuck in the gooey weirdness. How do I get out?
I'm just gonna stop streaming. That's what I'm gonna do.
Wave goodbye, and then people stop watching us.
Okay. We'll see you guys another time.
Have no time to die. We'll see you next time.